Ready to Love, Season 14, Episode 4. This is for Jasmina and Michael. And you can see the clips or the links to the other videos of the other couples down below. But I'm about to talk about Michael and Jasmina. And oh my goodness. Of all the couples, this probably was the most disappointing episode of all the couples. Because I have started off as high in the sky for this couple. If you guys have been watching all my videos from the very beginning, I am just over the moon for this couple. And let me tell you, they stuck a pin in my balloon today, and I don't even know if I can recover from it. So anyway, let's talk about this. The one thing I'll say about Jasmina is she presents well. She presents very well up front and in person. She's very polite. You know, I notice little things about her. When she asks and she talks to Michael, she'll be like, oh, can you unzip me, please? You know, she uses these sort of little phrases that, it's what I liked about her in the beginning. But let me tell you, I'm starting to see this curt side to her, C-U-R-T, that I'm not liking about Jasmina. Not liking it. I know they call her Miss Nonsense, but it's borderlining on more than Miss Nonsense. It's starting to borderline on argumentative and overly critical. I pointed it out in the last video when she was scrunching up her face over the fact that he was talking about his schedule, and he is a personal trainer. I don't like her facial expressions. One of the things I don't like about Jasmina is she is quick for the criticism. She is quick on that trigger. She's heavy on that pedal, and I don't like that about her. She doesn't give a lot of grace, and you need to give your mate grace and mercy if you're gonna last. You can't be quick to fire on them, and I see that in Jasmina. It doesn't mean that I'm not seeing some things in Michael too, but that is something I see in Jasmina more. Maybe they're editing Michael a little bit more, but I'm seeing it in Jasmina. So first of all, it starts off at the tail end of their wedding, and she's in the bathroom taking off her makeup. Another thing, ladies, don't go to hotels, people's houses, and take your makeup off with the white towels. Bring yourself some makeup remover. I don't like when people come to my house and do that. I got makeup remover things in my bathrooms. So if you come to my house and you spend the night, don't be ruining my towels with your makeup, okay? People should know that now by traveling. That's a big problem in hotels. Next thing I do is I saw Jasmine in this bonnet again. Another thing I keep saying, listen, ladies, when you get married, give your man one night without the bonnet. I talked about it in my last video. I'm going to repeat it again. He can see all that realness later. Give him a day without the bonnet. So anyway, Jasmina's talking to Michael saying, hey, how was the meeting with her parents? And Michael fills her in on the fact that her stepdad was basically saying, that she's bossy and don't let her boss you around. And he was saying, be strong and don't be no pushover. He says, I don't want you to push her over too, but be strong. This man is telling you something. All these parents tell you something. Jasmina is bossy. We're going to get to the exact word. It's either bossy, overcritical, it's something. It may be that teacher in her. Like I tell you, teachers have this into them. They are used to being standing up in front of classes, giving instructions all day. Let me tell you, I was raised by a teacher, 35 years a teacher. 2 of my best friends are teachers, and they're all bossy. I'm not going to lie. They're bossy. So I'm not surprised we're seeing this in Jasmina, and the father has said it. And to be honest with you, I also saw it a little bit in the mother. And I think that's why the father said it, because he's married to the mother, and he was trying to tell Michael the truth. So anyway, they're sitting in the bedroom. Michael brings him some coffee and some croissants and stuff like that. Here goes Jasmina again, drinks the coffee. Yeah, this is nasty. That's what I'm talking about. Choice of words, choice of facial expressions, the negativity. We just don't need it all the time. I know Michael is talking about she keeps it real, she keeps it 100. But you know what? We don't always want people's real expressions. She could have easily tasted that coffee, didn't like it, and say, oh, that's interesting. You take your coffee black. Well, I like my coffee with cream and sugar. And you know what? Michael could have always, before he gave her the coffee, he could have said, hey, how do you like your coffee? I'm seeing 2 things of these people. One is, I don't think Michael is used to caring for anybody but himself. So he doesn't know how to care for a wife or care for another person. And Jasmina is overcritical. So when he makes missteps, she's right on cue to cut him down on it though. But he makes mistakes too. So Jasmina starts talking about, when she went on and met the sisters for brunch or for breakfast or whatever. You know, I love Michael's sisters. I think they're really sweet girls. And she was talking about one of the things that the sisters told her was sometimes he thinks the negative up front, negative Nancy. And that alarmed her. And I could see how it could alarm her, because you don't want to be with no one who's negative all the time or always thinking that the bad up front. So I can see how that could be a little pin in her head, and she can think about that. But the love alarm that went off was when Jasmina dropped the bomb that she has never been in a relationship in state, all out of state. Jasmina, that means you have never been in a relationship. If you have never been in a relationship with a person who lives in the same town, you've never been in a relationship. This is a red flag. She literally has not been in a relationship. So all these things she's told us about her past and all these things that went wrong and how all these men went on to marry other women after her, these are becoming red flags, because what that tells me, Jasmina, is you might have dated men who were ready for marriage, but you know what? They didn't want to marry you. Why, Jasmina? That's what we need to start asking. Why did these men, after they got done with you, got a new girlfriend and all of a sudden said, you know what? Now I want to get married. Generally, when that happens, let me tell you, it means sometimes the men were ready for marriage, but when they were with you, you were not the woman for some reason, and they were ready. So when they found the next woman, they said, now I'm ready and I found the woman. I'm starting to see some parts of Jasmina which would tell me why she hasn't had a boyfriend in her city, in her town, and she's had to go out of state. That's a red flag. So anyway, they're getting ready for to go on the honeymoon, and they have a little moment where, you know, Michael's like, what is this right here? And girl, it was a luggage tag. He didn't even know what a luggage tag was. And he starts talking about he hasn't been that far away from home. First of all, Puerto Rico from Boston, I think, is no more than 3.5 hours at the most, 4-hour flight. It is not that far. It's not like you're going all the way to Italy. So that tells me Michael really has not gotten out and done much, and maybe Jasmina has done a little bit more. So I'm starting to see a little bit of difference on that class level as well. So just like the other couples, that whole scenario thing that happened with Mark the Shark Lindsay on the plane with Olajuwon and Katina, it started to filter over in other people's relationships. You know, shit gets on everybody. And basically what it did was, it, you know, kind of put a stiffness in the air. So when all the couples met together down below and having pina coladas and stuff like that, I started to notice a couple of things. One is, and this actually started before, one is I noticed that Alyssa was sitting awfully close to Jasmina. And there was another scene on the bus when the girls were leaving to go to the airport. Alyssa was sitting next to Jasmina again. This bothers me because everybody knows who Alyssa is. And I become quite concerned when I see Alyssa having comfort in one of the girls, one of the ladies that I like. That tells me, how is it that Jasmina feels comfortable sitting next to Lindsay? Because I wouldn't want to sit next to her. I wouldn't be one of her friends. And I noticed on the after party, when Jasmina was on it, she took up for Alyssa with Lindsay. Now, I knew Lindsay was a piece of mess, and I had started to feel Alyssa was too. But now I'm starting to see this alliance between Jasmina and Alyssa, and this doesn't bode well for Jasmina. Because you know what? Birds of a feather flock together. This happened last year with what is his name? Johnny and Mirla. And also, and then when you started to get Rachel involved, everyone didn't know who Rachel was till you found out who she was hanging around. And that's what's starting to show up to me with Jasmina and also Alyssa. Why is it they're sitting on the couch and Alyssa is sitting closer to Michael than she is to her own husband? Now, if I'm Jasmina, I'd be like, back up. Why are you so close to sit to my husband? Get over there and work things out between your husband. But already you see Alyssa trying to become this third wheel over here with with Jasmina and Michael. And I don't like it. I think it's too close for comfort. But you know what? It's giving me another sign of who Jasmina is. And I'm not liking that either. So lo and behold, they get back to the room and they start having a conversation, Jasmina and Michael. So Michael brings up that, hey, you know what? I kind of expected there to be a little conflict, but I like the way it ended up, working out in the end. Everybody kind of made up. And Jasmina, click on the trigger. What do you mean you expect it that way? Now, I know what she's got in the back of her head. She's got in the back of the head what the sisters told her about he thinks negative up front, and he's already anticipating conflict. But you know what, Jasmina, you got to be able to read between the lines. I understood what the guy was saying. What he was saying is when you bring a bunch of people together, it may not all be roses. So although it's not like he's expecting it to happen, that might have been the words he used. But what he's saying is, it's not too surprising. And you hopped on him like a dog on a bone. Well, I don't think that's true. I disagree. That's so disagreeable. Even if you don't agree with him, you could have been quiet about it. You don't always have to express your disagreement. And that's what I'm talking about that I see in Jasmina. I've seen it several times. When she has an opinion, she wants to say it. She doesn't know how to hold her tongue. And what she doesn't understand is you should be here bonding with your husband. But instead of what you're doing is you're sort of taking up for another couple has had a disagreement. That couple's disagreement is creating friction in your household already. And why? What difference does it make? Why are you choosing this fight? And lo and behold, they go on and she knows what she says. She says, well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. And she actually said, like you said, we'll just have to agree to disagree, which tells me Michael said it before she said it. So Michael already said that, you know what, he's not one to back down. And he's already hinted that he can be a little bit argumentative too. Even his sisters have talked about let him have his moment. So I'm telling you, we said this was a season of similarities. And we are finding out that Michael and Jasmina are both bullheaded, stubborn, and they like to argue. And let me tell you, those are two similarities that don't work well in a marriage. And Michael has already said, hey, I wanted a woman who would stand up or whatever. And now he's saying, now I'm faced with it in front of me, and I'm not sure I like it. No doubt, Michael, no doubt. So you guys, you know what? I felt really just let down in this whole episode. I was so high on these two, but I'm seeing some cracks in the armor, and I'm telling you, they are some pretty big cracks. And each episode, it doesn't seem like it's getting better. It actually starts to feel like it's getting a little bit worse, and I don't like it. I'm getting very nervous over these two. I hope they can get this train back on the tracks, but I feel real uneasy about it. And to be honest with you, I know I've seen a lot more things I don't like in Jasmina, the way she speaks, than I have in Michael. And it may be edits in the beginning. I think he has a little part of him that might have a little bit of, I don't know, maybe a little selfishness, I said before. But let me tell you, she is quick on the trigger. And I don't see any nurturing side of Jasmina right now. I don't see any of that soft side of her yet. And I'm telling you, she's going to need to bring that more to the marriage. And he's also going to have a little bit more care and concern about her. But right now, these two have a divide going on between them. And I just hope it doesn't get bigger.